morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to look at text organization with our story. And get this out of the way. Maybe. There we go. So this is the part on evaluate that asks you, how did the story begin? Because all you have to do for this is look at the beginning to figure out how it began. Okay, so you look here and then you match it with the answer on your evaluate test. All right, so text organization, we're looking at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and clue words are first, next, then, finally, last. Think about our writing and how we do our writing when we write narratives. We use the words first, next, then, and last. Same thing that happens when you're reading nonfiction and there's a timeline. You'll see beginning events, middle events, and ending events. All right, so we're going to read today how to make a timeline. And this is a procedural text. There are directions for the readers to follow. There's a list of materials needed for the project. The model or picture of what the final project will look like is on in the book too. And then there's steps that show order. And so go ahead and get out your orange books, pause this video until you have them, turn to page 50. All right, now that you're turned to page 50, follow along as I read, please. This is starting with biography as our heading. So this whole section has to be about biography. It says a biography tells about the events in a real person's life. It takes time to read a full biography because it has many details and is full of stories. And then right here, it shows lots of clocks and it says a biography takes time to read. And now moving on to timeline. So this is going to be about timelines. Another way to share information about a person's life is through a timeline. A timeline uses visuals and dates to show a sequence of events at a glance. Because of this, a timeline doesn't have a lot of words on it. You read a timeline from left to right, just like a sentence. Anyone can make a timeline. A person doesn't have to be famous or a grown-up. Everyone's life is filled with special events. And then right here, there's only one clock. It says a timeline gives a lot of information with just a quick glance. So looking down here at the timeline, this is the life of John Hancock. And it says up here in this paragraph that we read this timeline from left to right, like we would read a book or a sentence. So this first date says 1737, January 23rd, born in Braintree, Massachusetts. And then 1754, it says graduated from Harvard College. 1755, May 24th, became President of Congress. 1776, July 4th, first person to sign Declaration of Independence. And then 1780, elected Governor of Massachusetts. Go ahead and turn the page. Now, this is Tremaine's timeline. And so he is going to tell us about his timeline. It says Tremaine made a timeline of his life. Read the statements he wrote. What ideas can you get from Tremaine's timeline to make one about your own life? To make a timeline about your life, think about events from the past that are special to you. For example, when were you born? What exciting things have happened to you? Have you won an award or learned a new skill? Write down the dates of important events in your life. If you need help thinking of events or dates, ask family members. You might even learn more about yourself. Let's get started. So look at Tremaine's. It says February 13th, 2012, he was born in Dallas, Texas. In 2016, he became a big brother. That means a little baby brother was born. In spring 2018, he received an award from the library. In the summer of 2018, he started taking photography class. Oh, cool. October 25th, 2018, he started taking trumpet lessons. And then 2019, he helped plant a tree. All right, so this is going to tell us how we can create our own timeline. So maybe at home tonight, you could work with your mom or dad or brother or sister and create your own timeline for your life. So it says, look back at Tremaine's timeline, use it as a model to create your own. So here are the materials that you're going to need to make a timeline: colored note cards or just paper, markers, tape or glue, scissors, magazines or pictures, string, clothespins, or paper clips. You're going to write important events from your life on note cards. Put the date at the top of the card and write what happened at the bottom. Leave space for a picture. Arrange all of your note cards in order. Put the earliest event on top and the most recent event on the bottom. And step 3, add drawings or pictures to your note cards. You can use photographs if your parents say it's okay. Step 4, add your note cards to a piece of string with clothespins or paper clips. Put the earliest event on the left and the most current one on the right. Step 5, share your timeline with the class. It will be fun to tell your friends about yourself. All right, so today we're going to identify the events in the text by using the clue words to search for the events, because this helps us understand events. So we're going to be successful by underlining the event that's given, and then you have to think. If it is asking first, you're going to look at the start of the text or timeline. If it says last, you have to look at the end of the text or timeline. If it says before, you're going to go back in the text, or if it says after, you're going to go forward in the text. So I'm going to start here with my model, and my question is, what happened first in John Hancock's life? So I'm going to pick one color, and then remember, we're going to make our sizer as small as it can go, and I'm going to circle my question word like we're used to, and I'm going to underline. It says first. That is my most important thing. It's bold and underlined, so that tells me it's important, but I also want to know about John Hancock's life. Okay, so I'm going to look at my timeline, or my how to be successful. I'm going to underline the event that is given. So it doesn't give me an event, but it does tell me I'm going to talk about John Hancock's life. So I know this whole timeline is about his life, but it says first. So my clue word right here is first. I'm going to underline that. Start of the text or timeline. And we know we start where we would start a sentence over here. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that. And then I'm going to change it to my text tool so I can type, put it on the line. And then I'm going to think about how I'm going to type this. It says born in Braintree, Massachusetts. So I'm going to say John Hancock, because this is what this timeline is about, the life of John Hancock. John Hancock was born in, and I'm just going to put Massachusetts because I know what that is, but I don't necessarily know where Braintree is. And then a period. So this should have a capital letter and a period, and then it should sound like a teacher talk. So let's reread it. John Hancock was born in Massachusetts. Okie dokie. Let's move on. All right, now I'm going to move it back to my pencil. I'm going to keep that color. I'm going to make sure my sizer is the right size. There we go. All right, I'm going to start off by circling what happened right before he was the first president to sign the Declaration of Independence. So before, and the important thing is first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. Wow, sorry, that's really sloppy. You guys try to do a better job than that, okay? All right, so now I'm going to look for, underline the event that's given. So the event that's given was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence. All right. Let's see, graduated, became president, first person to sign the Declaration. I'm going to underline that event, and I know that it says before, so I'm going to look here, and it says before. I go back in the text or the timeline, so I'm going back. This is forward, this is back, like we do on the number grid when we go back. It's going backwards. I'm going to underline this event because that's what I need to write down, and it says he became president of Congress. So I'm going to switch that to my text tool now. I can change my color if I want one time. I'm going to click where I want it, and then I'm going to write. Became first president of Congress is not a complete sentence, so I need to add the who, which we're talking about John Hancock, and I'm going to say he for John Hancock. He became president of Congress. Okay, and then my capital letter and my period, and let's read it, see if it sounds like a teacher talks. He became president of Congress. There we go. That's perfect. All right, now I'm going to go to the next slide, if it will let me. There we go. All right, you guys try this one with me. We're going to start with our pencil. We need to circle. And then what's the clue word here? The clue word is last. And then what's the last thing we do to create a timeline? All right. So when we find the last thing, we don't really have an event that's given. We want to know the last at the end of the text or timeline. So if I have steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my last event is going to be step 5, right? So right here. And then I'm going to read it. So you're going to share your timeline with the class. It will be fun to tell your friends about yourself. All right, so I'm going to put my text tool on. I'm going to click where I want the text to go. And then the last thing you do to create a timeline. So I'm going to type in the last thing is, and then I'm going to look back here, share your timeline with the class. It will be fun to tell your friends about yourself. So that step is just telling me to share my timeline. The last thing is to share my timeline. All right, and then I can click off of that, and if I need it to move, I click off, and then I can move it around wherever I want it to go, and then I'm going to reread. The last thing is to share my timeline. That sounds like a teacher talks, doesn't it? We have a capital letter and a period, so that should be good. All right, one more before your you do. I'm going to go back to my pencil tool, circling the question word, underlining the important words. After is important. This says right after. And then the event is add pictures or drawings. So first thing I need to do is underline the event that is given. So add pictures or drawings. Oh, that's step 3. I'm going to circle step 3. Okay, so I underlined the event that is given. Now I need to look right after. So here's after. I go forward in the text or timeline. So this would be forward when we go down. This would be before or back if we go up on the timeline. So I'm going to go down and it's right after. So that would be this one, step 4. Okay, so it says add your note cards to a piece of string with a clothespin or paper clips. Put the earliest event on the left and the most current one on the right. So I'm going to change this back to my text tool, pick a color, and then click where I want it to go. So right after, and then I'm going to, instead of writing add pictures or drawings, I'm just going to put right after step 3. You can add your note cards to a piece of string with clothespins or paper clips. So I'm going to put my note cards on the string, and then that's good enough. So I don't have to type the whole thing out, okay? So then we're going to reread. After step 3, you can put my note cards on the string. And actually, I'm going to say, because it says you, I'm going to change my to your. That's getting really technical though. So right after step 3, you can put your note cards on string. I have a capital letter N period, so that should be good. All right, here is your you do. This is back to his timeline that he made by himself. And you're going to answer what happened right after he started taking a photography class. So remember your steps. You're going to underline the event that's given. The event that's given is taking a photography class. So find that on his timeline, underline it. And then he's asking right after. So you need to identify which one of these you do to be able to type in your sentence on Pear Deck. Okay. All right, good job today, guys. You're going to go ahead and click next on Canvas, and then that's going to take you to your you do work on Pear Deck. Thank you.